Hey y'all, welcome to Northeast Now, where we discuss all things NEMCC. My name is Liz Roark, and I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Today I have Mr. Charlie Smart with us, and we are so excited to be talking all things adult education. Hey Mr. Charlie, how are you?
Doing well, thank you for having me.
So, for those who don't know, what do you do at Northeast?
Well, I am the College and Career Navigator for the Adult Education Department at Northeast Mississippi Community College here in beautiful Boonville, Mississippi. My job really is to help students understand that they're not here to get a diploma exclusively. The diploma is important. I tell them, I know you're going to get it. If you do the work, I'm not worried about that part. It's what you do afterwards that's important. You know, I tell them, I know that your grandest ambition in life is not to get a GED. There's other stuff. There's bigger and better things out there for you, and we want to help you take advantage of it, and more than anything else, we want to help you to learn what you need to learn in order to be successful in life, whatever success means to you. It's something different to everybody, and it's my job to help them to understand that and to help them figure out what that is if they don't know, and help them along the path, help them enroll in college, help them do trade, whatever it is that they want to do. I am there to help them move forward.
And that's what, it's incredible. I keep up with your blog and keep up with what you're doing on social media. Oh. And just to see all the stories and to see the impact you have in so many students' lives, it's truly incredible.
Thank you.
So, it sounds like you're 90 to nothing all the time.
Sure.
What do you do when you get to Northeast every day? What does a typical day for you look like?
Gosh, I come in and try to just get organized to start with and figure out what all I do. But it's a little bit of everything. I'm contacting students constantly. I come in, myself and my associate, Amanda Janes, the other College and Career Navigator, we go to different Smart Start classes. Smart Start is the first 4 weeks of the adult ed curriculum where they learn professional skills. And she and I go into different classrooms and talk about all this stuff and actually teach one of the lessons on goal setting and career planning. We meet with the students one-on-one, and that's really, that's so important to really get to know them, find out where they're coming from, find out what happened, why it is that they withdrew from school, what led to that. More than anything else, to find out what's important to them. And, we do all of that. We're meeting with students constantly, doing, lots of administrative tasks to stay on top of everything. It is a lot, but it's very, very satisfying. It's the best job I've ever had, and I just love doing almost every part of it, like we were talking about earlier.
That's what, it has to be really cool. You spend so much personal time and one-on-one time. You watch these students grow, and you get to grow with them almost.
I totally get to grow. I learn, it's just like with my children. I learn more from them than they will ever learn from me.
With this personal relationship, you probably know so many remarkable stories. Do you have a few that just stick out to you that you just are incredible?
I could talk all day about this. A few come to mind though. A young man named Jamie Avila from New Albany came to us about 10 years ago. He was one of my first students when I started teaching. I was the GED instructor over in New Albany. He came to night classes because he had to work full-time and help support his family. And he just came when he could. He's a very busy guy, very family-oriented, just, busy guy. And he just kind of came in when he could, and he'd go long stretches where he wasn't able to. It took him around 10 years to finish his HSC. He just never quit. He stayed with it. He would have to stop coming for a while and come back in, and he just worked at it as he could. But he never quit. He stayed with it, and so much of success is just staying with it sometimes, And so he did that. He finished up his HSE, and I asked him what he wanted to do. He wanted to be an electrician. He'd worked construction a good bit, and he said it just fascinated him how you could flip one switch and a whole building would light up. And so, of course, electrician, that's a great line of work. You know, there are electricians out there making $100,000 a year. If you know what you're doing, you work hard. So anyway, that's what he wanted to do. And he wanted to enroll at Northeast. And Northeast very generously set aside a couple of college class sections last summer strictly for our adult ed students. And he took part of that. He got a little bit of extra support. Amanda and I, we did team teaching. You know, we'd go to the classes with them. And that was a good springboard for him. And then when this fall came, he was going to enroll in the electrician program. And he was torn because he needed to work too, And finally his wife told him, just do what you got to do. We will make do until you're finished, and then we'll be set when you're, a couple of years when you're done. Well, as it turns out, Jason Maddox and Carrie Cobb and the great staff over at Career Tech have this wonderful Tiger Apprenticeship program. He didn't have to choose at all. He got into an apprenticeship. He's working full time, doing the apprenticeship, I think 40 hours full time at a firm in Ripley, I believe, and going to school. He's doing great, and he's going to be a great electrician, and we're just so happy for him. Another young lady, Lindsay Parker from Corinth, she is great. She and her husband own a game store in Corinth, board games, Dungeons and Dragons, and all the really sort of, high-end stuff I can't understand, And a lot of her customers were young people, and she discovered that she really liked teaching these kids how to play these games. And she loves literature, and she thought, I could be a teacher. Only she didn't have a high school diploma, and so she'd been out of school for about 10 years or so. And so she came to us. She was really motivated. And she got her HSC with us. She went to Northeast, and then she went to Ole Miss. This past semester, she just finished up her bachelor's in education with Ole Miss. She finished up her student teaching at Boonville High School. And this fall, she is going to be doing some teaching while she is working on her master's in fine arts and creative writing at Mississippi University for Women. And we're so proud of her. And a young man whose name has been circulating due to our wonderful marketing specialist who's been getting his name out there, Sebastian Mejia from Ripley. Sebastian, he withdrew from the 10th grade. He came to us. He liked cooking. His family had been in the restaurant business. His grandmother, who he has helped take care of recently, and it's a phenomenal story. He's a remarkable young man, but he liked cooking. He got the idea. He wanted to open a bakery eventually, specializing in ethnic desserts. And he actually brought some baked goods to the classroom one day. I did not have the good fortune to be there that day, but I understand they were delicious. And so Sean Davis, the instructor over there, put him in the Gateway program, which is our youth training program that gets students some work experience. And he did a paid internship at a place, and they did such a remarkable job. I know we can't mention every business that we are fortunate to work with. We love them all, but this was Ripjack's Mercantile Exchange over there. I'm mentioning them because they really went above and beyond. They took him under their wing. They knew he wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's an entrepreneurial enterprise, so they've given him such great coaching on how to run a business and have sort of turned him loose with the place. He does an awful lot there. He still works there full time. After his internship ended, they hired him full time. So he's doing that now. He's going to be doing that this summer. And Sebastian, who, by the way, was from MACE. MACE is our adult ed association. We named him in our summer conference. MACE did the north half of the state student of the year. And he's going to be starting Northeast in the fall, and he's going to pursue his dream, and I have no doubt that he is going to get there. And I would be remiss if I did not mention a young lady named Jaleesa Estes. Jaleesa came to us, I think it was 3 years ago. She'd been out of school for a while, just kind of didn't know what she wanted to do, and didn't know what to do. And I got to talking to her. Turned out she's really good with technology. She had actually worked on her own, no high school diploma or anything. She had worked on her own helping local businesses, creating websites for them, had a good bit of experience already. Just, she didn't know what to do with it, She didn't know exactly how to channel it. And we got to talking to her about our information systems technology program here at Northeast. She found out that she could learn how to build apps for Apple iOS devices because of our close relationship with Apple here at Northeast. And she just took to it like a duck to water. And that's not an easy major, but man, she came in and did a phenomenal job. She was named the Outstanding Student of the Year for her division. This is someone who withdrew from school in the 10th grade after failing the 9th grade, which was certainly not due to lack of ability, But she went right through that program. She worked worked at the help desk here, and when the program director for that program left Northeast, they had to hire an instructor, and based on her work experience and her impeccable performance in that program, they hired her. And so she is going to be teaching at Northeast this fall. And it's been such a thrill to watch her come through our program and progress. And I'm really excited to be able to call her a colleague now. So I could mention a bunch of people, but those are a few that come to mind.
That's what Jaleesa, especially, I've gotten to work with her and gotten to know her. And it's so incredible, and it's inspiring to others. She's a parent, she's a mother, and she did it. Yeah. And for all of our people listening, like, if you don't have your education, there's nothing holding you back.
That's right.
You can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many success stories of people who had all the odds against them, and they overcame them.
Yeah.
And in Northeast, we are here to help you every way we can.
Yes.
Our job here is to help you succeed and help you move forward in your education and help you pursue the dreams that you want.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
Yep.
And, I think that's just such a rewarding part of all of our jobs. And you kind of touched base on this earlier, but what do you think the most rewarding part of your job is?
It is to see students fulfill their potential or begin to realize their potential. I keep little sayings on my walls to remind me of what's in my office, to remind me of what's important. And one of them is my own mission. And my mission is to help students discover abilities they didn't know they had that will help them flourish. And I see this all the time, and we offer so much in adult education beyond just the coaching that we give them and the great instruction that they get in the classroom. We have programs that will help them. We have the Gateway program that I mentioned that for 16 to 24-year-olds, we can help them get some work experience. It's that old catch-22 that you hear all the time. Do you have any experience? Well, you can't get a job if you don't have experience sometimes, but you sure can't get experience if you don't have a job. And this is a way around that, and it's a paid internship, and they get great job coaching from our coaches in our department. We have the program called My Best that I mentioned. Amanda James, she works with that program, and students can do that program and go ahead and do either some workforce training or even some career tech classes while they're still getting their HSE. So you're exactly right when you say that the doors are wide open for anyone who wants to come in and better themselves, and not better themselves necessarily, but create more opportunity for themselves. It's out there, and I just love to see students come in and progress. That's my favorite part of it.
So, we talked about the highs. There always has to be some lows, too. So what do you think is the most challenging part of your job?
That's why I said a while ago, I love almost every part of it. I do genuinely love my job. I work with great people, Laurie Kiesler, our director, and Kim Smith, our assistant director, do an excellent job. And they're great to work for. I love the work. I do not like paperwork. We have to do a lot of paperwork, a lot of administrative tasks. It's the part that I don't really enjoy, but I don't mind it. And I don't mind it because I finally got through my own thick skull that the stuff that we have to do that we may not enjoy, that's how we keep the doors open. And yes, I would love to be spending all my time talking with students and, talking with nice folks like yourself, promoting what we do. That's the fun part of it. But if we don't keep the doors open, we're not helping anybody. And I try to keep that in mind. And a lot of the administrative stuff I have to do is with student records, student files. Well, that may seem tedious to me in the moment, but these are our students' lives. And it's important to me, as I say, to help them fulfill their potential. And it really helps me to do that, to see to get information on them and see what they're about and see what's important to them. So while that's not the part that I just really get excited about every morning, I know how important it is. So I do manage to slug through it.
Okay, so I'm going to really change the subject now just a little bit.
Yes.
Do you think anyone is ever too old to go to college?
Too old to go to college. No, they are not ever too old to go to college. This is a common misconception because we all are familiar with cognitive decline as we age. I'll be 50 years old in a couple of months, and yeah, it's harder for me to remember things sometimes than it used to be. Not that it was ever easy. But we all know that, there are certain things that are harder for us to remember as we get a little bit older. But number one, the best way to combat that is active learning. We all have heard, do crossword puzzles to help ward off Alzheimer's and all that. Well, that is true. You use it or you lose it. And what better way than to enroll in college? For people who are 62 years old or older, they get free tuition at Northeast. And while, again, the memory may sort of slope off a little bit, I am convinced that is more than offset by the rich life experience that our non-traditional students have. This is something I see. We don't have a lot of students who are, really older in adult ed, but we have a lot of people who haven't been in a classroom for a while. And so while it's been a while since they saw any, structured academic material, they have this rich life experience that they can draw on. And learning is all about taking new information and attaching it to the old information that you have already. You're constantly upgrading what they call your schemas, your mental models about the world. And the best way to do that is to have some good, rich experience to attach that new information to. So I'm convinced as long as you're young enough to get to class, yeah, you can do it. Absolutely. So to answer your question, no, you're not ever too old, I don't think.
And that's why I feel like a prime example of this is Miss Rochelle Jenkins.
Oh, yes.
At 67, everyone, she just got her college degree.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, she looks like she is 45.
She does.
She is sharp as a tack, and she's working now for Northeast. Do you know?
Yes, I know.
That's crazy.
She's wonderful.
And just a prime example. Every instructor she had went out of their way to make sure she was caught up with the rest of the class. Any questions she ever had, our instructors were incredible about working with her, making sure she understood, making sure she was on top of it. And she did it. Mm-hmm. And is now working for Northeast right now, recruiting people like her who think they're too old. You're never too old. Absolutely. You can do it.
Absolutely. I'm so, she's there at the window a lot of times at the recruiting office. The first face you see when you walk into Ramsey Hall, she is quite literally the face of Northeast Mississippi Community College for people. That's the first person that a lot of people talk to. I can't think of anybody better. She's wonderful.
Yeah, keeping this topic of can you do it if someone drops out of high school, and a lot of people have the mindset, I dropped out, I can't go to college.
Yeah.
And I hate that conception because anyone can go back to school.
Yes.
What steps would you give someone who is dropped out of high school? Maybe, they're older now and they want to come back, but they're not sure where to even start.
Yeah. They just need to call our office. They need to call our office at 662-720-7184. That's 662-720-7184. They can go to our Facebook page too. It's Northeast Mississippi Community College Adult Education. We're not hard to find. And just call us up and say, hey, I'm ready to do it. And we will get them the next enrollment date, which will be sometime in August. And we'll get them moving forward. Just call us and say, hey, I'm ready to move forward. And we'll help them do exactly that.
Awesome. And this is my last question and maybe my toughest. What advice do you have for someone who is unsure they even want to go back to school? They don't know if they can do it. They don't know if this is something for them. What would you advise?
I run into this so much, people, especially people who didn't finish a high school diploma, they feel like the deck is stacked against them. A lot of ours have had tough lives before they get to us. But then there are also people who got a high school diploma and they've been out of school for a long time and they're thinking, what about going to college? I should have done that a long time ago. I have two things that I think that they should do. Number one, don't be intimidated by the process. You've got people to walk with you through it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a high school diploma and you want to get one, or you already have one and you've been thinking about going to college, you don't quite know what to do. Northeast has an incredible staff for all across the board. You have people, if you're thinking about doing this, if you're coming to adult ed, we've got a full staff who will hold your hand through every step of the process. If you're thinking about going back to school, same thing. You've got people who help you with every bit of enrollment. We have great instructors who care about whether or not their students learn. It may feel sometimes, I would tell them, it's like you're climbing a mountain, I know. But once you get to the top, the view is awfully nice, and you've got people who will walk with you the entire length of that mountain. And the second thing I would advise them is, whatever you do, don't sell yourself short. I tell this story, Michael Miller and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, and I'll share it here again. It's a story that Zig Ziglar, the great speaker, used to tell about Gentleman Jim Corbett, one of the very first boxing champions. And the story goes that Corbett loved to fish, and he was walking down to his favorite fishing hole one day, and he sees this old man down there. And this old guy's just pulling in fish left and right. Corbett's never seen anybody catch fish like that. But he notices after a while he's doing something really, really odd. He is only keeping the little fish, and he's throwing back all the big fish. And so finally Corbett runs down there and says, sir, you just got to tell me, why are you doing this? Most people lie about catching fish like you're catching them, but you're catching them and throwing them back. You're doing the exact opposite. What gives? And the old man says, well, son, I'd love to keep some of them big fish, but I can't do nothing with none of them big fish, because all I got at home is a little old bitty frying pan. And we all, and this includes me, we all think that we have a smaller frying pan, that we do a smaller set of capabilities than we think we do. But I tell students this story all the time, and I tell them, your frying pan is as big as this room, and it only gets bigger as you work at it. Not only do you learn more information as you go, you get better at learning information. And so it's a spiral upward. Just come in and get started, and you'll figure it out from there, and we will help you. That's what we do at Northeast.
Thank you so much, Charlie, for sitting down with me today. These are really incredible things, and for anyone listening, you can start. You can always move forward in your education. Please let us help you. Please let us help you take that step. Thank y'all so much for listening, and tune in next month as we get ready to start back school.